Welcome to Monday Morning Methane. It's actually Thanksgiving Monday here in Canada today. I'm joined by Illia Yankovyi from Highwood's R&D team. He is a technical expert working with us on all things methane. Illia, welcome to Monday Morning Methane.
Hey, welcome. Nice to meet you, Thomas.
Thanks for joining us. Maybe let's just start when you can explain a little bit about some of the things that you work on at Highwood and a little bit about what keeps you busy.
Sure. So I'm a methane data analyst. So I'm crunching numbers related to methane measurements, detections, all the stuff around oil and gas facilities emitting methane, and um, different kind of reporting related to that, reconciliation, and so on.
Awesome. So you recently got back from Malaysia. You flew to Kuala Lumpur, which I think is the furthest away anyone has ever gone from Calgary, where Highwood is located, to present on our research. Pretty exciting. You attended an SPE conference on methane, where you were invited to speak on your work. What is it like over in Malaysia? Did you have a good time over there?
Absolutely. It was warm and humid. Uh, I really liked the place, and we had an absolute audience of the oil and gas experts and methane nerds joined together in one place with one goal to progress on methane emissions detections, reporting, and mitigation. And operators shared their reports, and technical vendors shared their new ideas. And I just really like this event.
I imagine you met a lot of people who don't often come to the methane conferences in North America. So, you, as I mentioned, you were invited to speak there on your work. We submitted an abstract, and you've been doing some pretty cool R&D work. Did you want to share a little bit about your presentation and what you were sharing in terms of our efforts over there?
Sure. So, long story short, I was talking about OGMP 2 level 4, which is related to source level measurements of your equipment on site using different technologies, and how you can group those equipment to get the most precise answer about your emissions. I can actually share slides
Sure.
about that.
Yeah, let's see what you're up to.
On this slide, we have a very generic view what's happening. We have inputs, which are source level measurements.
Uh-huh.
Then we have our logic that groups them together. And in the very end, we get totals and uncertainty range.
I like this
Let
measurement informed inventory machine.
Yes, yes. So as you know, measurement informed inventories are focused on combining bottom up inventories and top down measurements. Um, yes. Let's move on. Uh, on this slide, I just try to explain that you can group your equipment, use your source categories in very different ways or stratas, to say in a nerdy language. So, and that is very important for reporting because different stratas might have different variability, the ways they differ from each other. Um, and some of them are much more various and diverge from the average, while others are much more alike. So uh, we cannot measure everything, and we have to measure just a little part. And if that little part or sample is including very different items, you would get very high uncertainty, which might be not ideal in some cases.
So the goal here, I think what you're explaining is you're trying to develop an emission factor based on based on measurements, but you can group your measurements in different ways. So
Yes,
would pneumatics be a good example here? You could group by manufacturer or age or location. There's different
yes,
ways to group them, and depending on how you group them, you might get different answers.
absolutely. This example was based on engines, so stationary combustion in
Hmm.
OGMP. And let's move to the further details. We are trying to build emission factors, which often are based on averaging of your data. Um, Here on the left, you can see a visual representation of engines. And you can group your engines in very different way by manufacturer on
Hmm.
the top and by horsepower on the bottom. And each of those groups would provide you with different averages, and uh, variability in that group will differ. And as it turned out, that if you group your engines by horsepower class, you will include very different and not alike engines in terms of methane emissions, while grouping by manufacturer might end up having very little variability in comparison. So again, we cannot measure everything all the time. So we conduct measurement samples, but we want to avoid really bad or biased sample. So we group our population into different strata in such a way that we believe captures the majority of this difference of variability in the population.
So
So
it
we,
looks like
yeah,
to me that so if you, depending on whether you group by manufacturer or horsepower class, you get a completely different answer, right? So like
yes,
both the absolute emissions, it looks like the absolute emissions, if you group by horsepower class, are double,
yeah,
because you're applying a different emission factor to a different grouping of sites that's being
yes.
extrapolated to engines you didn't measure.
Hmm.
But then the uncertainty is absolutely massive at the on the graph on the bottom compared to the graph on the top, which means that you know the engines are probably not that distinct from one another that you're categorizing together. So high uncertainty means it's probably about a bad grouping. Is that what you would say?
Um, yes, it has a lot of problems. However, one of the interesting consequences of this is top down and bottom up here actually reconciled. Was it a mistake? By we don't know.
Yeah. So that's a little strange. So it means basically if you do a bad job, then you can reconcile your emissions more easily.
Hmm.
Is
Um.
that oversimplifying it? Because it looks to me here like on the bottom,
Yeah.
if you were submitting a report to UNEP for a GMP,
Yes.
you could say, "Hey, look, my uncertainty bars overlap,
Yeah.
and these are reconciled, so I don't need to do any additional work."
Yeah.
Um,
I believe it can be a hack of the current system of the current framework. Just because uncertainty should include so much more stuff, including uh, devices, including temporal behavior, how it changes in winter, in summer, day, night, and so on. But here we are essentially just playing with the way you group your devices.
mhm,
And that grouping, as you can see on these two examples, is very critical in both total emissions of the orange bar and the uncertainty or the confidence interval here.
mhm.
Uh, so, yes, to answer your question, it can change um, your status from not reconciled two reconciled.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a big journey to go to Kuala Lumpur and present in this research. You must have had a lot of great conversations. What are you going to be working on next?
Sure, I have so much plans, so it's hard to select something specific. But one of the things I'm the most excited about is site level uncertainty, as we have already designed a model that should include not just measurement uncertainty, measurement error, but also spatial and temporal aspects of uncertainty, which should provide very comprehend yet simple to run model, and any operator having site level measurements of a tested technology on controlled release sites can get those three level uncertainty, which includes measurement, temporal variability, and spatial variability, and it provides the most precise um, uncertainty estimates. So I will be working on that in the next couple months, and very excited about early results.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us today on Monday Morning Methane. It sounds like a productive trip, and we'll best wishes on your upcoming research, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you.